You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
US Cellular has noticed the way we use our phones has gotten ironic. We try to put our phones down for dinner, but the menu's on a QR code. That's ironic. We hit like on social posts that we don't actually like, which is ironic. Which is why US Cellular created Us Mode, to help us reconnect with each other and use our phones less ironically. A phone company wanting people to use their phones less is ironic. Let's find us again with Us Mode from US Cellular. Visit uscellular.com/builtforus to get started.
Precisa ferir a pressão, medir a glicemia ou tomar uma vacina? Na Drogasil tem exames, testes e calendário vacinal completo. E o que é melhor, tem sempre uma Drogasil aí perto de você. É fácil, prático e rápido. Dá para ir entre uma música e outra. Procure nossos farmacêuticos. Quanto mais você conhece o que a gente faz na Drogasil, mais você se cuida.
You heard it from a fan right here.
Perfect sound break there. Thank you so much. If you guys aren't aware, we're now stretching it to roughly the, hour 20 mark is the goal. I'd like to get it to where we're doing 2 to 3 hour shows. Now, the guys aren't going to be available for the whole thing. They'll be dropping in and out, but we're just trying to extend it. We had many fans emailing saying, hey, let's do a 2 hour show, So we're trying to inch closer to that. So next one here, fellas, and we'll start with our boy Jacob, because Ryan Wood said Packers placed A.J. Dillon on injured reserve and did not designate him to return. Have to think his time in Green Bay has ended. Tyler Davis, shut up, Emilio, also on IR without return designation. Jonathan Ford on IR with return designation. Of note, Marshawn Lloyd on the 53, not IR. So Tyler Davis without return, so he is done for the year. I think it's safe to say he's probably done in Green Bay. Wouldn't you say that, Jacob?
Yeah, man, and that's one I didn't quite see coming. Both him and A.J. Dillon's injuries kind of surprised me because they were ones that seemingly were non-existent up until cut day, and I don't know what to quite think about that. I don't know if – I mean, I hate to speculate, but it's almost like they were trying to soften the blow where it's like, hey, we've – really tried to hold you guys on here, and we appreciate what you've done. Here's your gold watch. Have a good day, kind of thing. I don't know, man. It's a rough day. It's tough to think about that. I really hope that we bring Joe Wilson back. I thought Tyler Davis was going to make this team, but I think it shows that they're confident in Ben Sims in a way that maybe we weren't completely acknowledging. And I'm, onward and upward, right? So I'm going to throw a lot of my stock behind Ben Sims. If I could swap it out for my DeGuara jersey, I would, but we'll have to see. I think
Ben Sims brings a lot to the table in the pass game as well, which is something that not to say Tyler Davis is not a pass catcher, but let's be honest, he's not really a pass catcher in this scheme. But, I think Ben Sims is a hell of a blocker, and he can also be a threat in the pass game as well. So I think that's probably why it tilted the scales in his favor.
Block. I'm excited. Tim, what do you think about the possibility of bringing back Jonathan Ford, who is somebody that maybe had one of the better camps out of anyone at this?
Yeah, absolutely. That is one to keep an eye on because he's been so close for so long, and it would just be nice to really see him get a crack at it. But I do think there is a possibility that he's in the mix. But we'll see, man. There's a lot of talent up front. There really is.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the 53-man roster. This is what everybody's been waiting for here. Just wanted to kind of hit on some of the important topics there, some of the injury news, because, again, this isn't all decided. A lot of this is probably going to shuffle up in the next 24 to 48 hours, to be honest with you, depending on who was actually cut. But here is your initial 53, Emilio. Are you ready, sir? Let's dive into it. Quarterbacks, we carried 2, Jordan Love and Malik Willis. Running backs, we got 3, Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, and Emmanuel Wilson. Wide receivers, we carried 6, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Dontavion Wicks, Bo Melton, and Malik Heath. Tight ends, we carried 3, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, Ben Sims. Offensive linemen, we carried, 10, I believe. Rasheed Walker, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, Jordan Morgan, Zach Tom. I think that's going to be your starters right there. And then you got Sean Ryan, Andre Dillard, Jacob Monk, Kadeem Telfort, and Travis Glover. Amelia, you have the floor, sir. How are we feeling about it? And I know already what you think of Travis Glover.
You know it. I'm just waiting to see my man out there on the field, but I'm happy with it. I really like that Ben Sims made it. I think he's going to be that Mercedes Lewis kind of blocker, but he can catch a little bit more. And I'm glad that we ended up with the 6 great wide receivers. We got a lot of blockers there, and I'm ready for Matt to get working on it, man. Jordan Love, I think Malik will do well sitting behind him and just get this offense rolling. I can't wait now that we're this much closer, right? Yeah. Glover, I barely even know her.
Jeez.
How dare you?
All right. Jacob, what are you thinking about this the additional 53 on the offensive side here, man? What sticks out to you, bro?
I'm trying to keep it together. Right away I was a little bit disgruntled with the Malik Willis situation, but after I kind of sit here, it's hard not to get excited about the possibility of, like, the kid has a lot of talent, and we have a lot of coaches and personnel that have done pretty darn good at making, let's say they could make a polish a turd pretty well. And if he's not an actual turd, if he actually has a lot of potential that's untapped, who knows what we can have there, whether that just be a positional role of coming in when Love needs a breather, if God forbid something happens to him, or if we use him as a trade bait situation where we take somebody that was basically cost us nothing and flip it for who knows whatever type of player and position we could get. I'm surprised probably most off at the running back room, just because it just is not what I thought compared to where we would start the year off. I thought for sure it would be A.J. Dillon, Josh Jacobs, A.J. Dillon with Marshawn Lloyd. And now I think that it's possible that we maybe don't even see Lloyd until week 4, and who knows what happens after Emmanuel Wilson, which I think Emmanuel Wilson is awesome, should be our RB2. And then the wide receiver room is, I think, expected. I think that's expected.
Yeah.
Got it. Tim, what do you think about offense here, man? What sticks out to you?
Grant DeBoe's not on the team. That sticks out to me. No, in all seriousness, a lot of what Jacob said is pretty accurate. I think in particular with the running back room, I don't think any of us really thought these would be the 3. We talked about, would they carry 4? Well, we know that's not going to happen, but I would agree. I think right now your running back 2 would be Emmanuel Wilson until we really get a good look at Marshawn Lloyd and, he gets his legs underneath him. But again, what the hell do I know? For all we know, Marshawn Lloyd is ready to go week 1 in Brazil, so we'll see. But I do think the receiver room was kind of as predicted, and little bit of surprises on that O-line maybe. But other than that, I'm happy with this team. Let's go get Lombardi, bring him home.
I'm feeling pretty good about the offense. I ain't gonna lie, man. Malik Willis, again, if you go off what he did this preseason, he performed way better than Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt. Right now, what will he do in this new offense? Who knows? Hopefully, we don't even have to find out. That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
But you've got a guy with a way more upside. You got a guy that was, like I said, the consensus big board had him somewhere at the number 16 spot overall when he came out in the draft. I would just about guarantee you Goody has somewhere probably between a second and a 4th round talent, a grade on Malik Willis. And the fact that you got him for a 7th, bring him in. There's no one else in the league outside of maybe Sean Payton that I would say you could put him with Tom Clements, and man, let this dude work his magic with a young backup. And worst case scenario, you've got him on 2 years, right, on his contract. I think $1.1 million against the cap this year, 1.4 next year, if I remember correctly. So let's say that Tom Clements works his magic. You go into next year, you're probably going to draft another quarterback, take another swing. That great teams do that. Thank God San Francisco did in their case, or they wouldn't have landed Brock Purdy, right? If they'd have just settled, nope, we got our quarterback room full, they would beat up the creek without a paddle. Have you guys seen Trey Lance play lately? My God.
5 picks, right?
Unbelievable. It's just like And you know what's crazy? You heard it, didn't you, Emilio? Michael Lombardi breaking it down. Like this kid, he ended up going. He ended up going to the school he went to because no one would give him quarterback position.
Yeah, he wanted to play quarterback so bad, but all the SEC, all those kind of schools wanted him to play wide receiver or corner or something, but he only wanted to play quarterback, so he went to
the warning signs were there, were they not? They were. So there you go. But anyway, Malik Willis, I like the move there, and you're still going to be able to stash. You could probably stash both of them, Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt, if you wanted to on the practice squad. Now, whether you want to tie up 2 practice squad spots with those 2 quarterbacks, I don't know. Like Jacob pointed out at the top of the hour here, or at the bottom of the last hour, having Sean Clifford be your backup before Malik Willis to let him get up to speed makes all the sense in the world. Now, at the running back position with Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, and Emmanuel Wilson, if Marshawn Lloyd's healthy, I love this running back room. To me, this was the best 3. I'm not trying to hate on A.J. Dillon now that he's gone. It's real simple. His yards per carry went down every single year. PFF, you've seen his grade go down every single year. He's starting to get an attitude in interviews, and he's saying stuff on the side. It just seemed like the writing was on the wall. I hate that it happened with an injury, but to me, I think someone said earlier in the chat, it almost worked out best for the Packers that they could do it in a respectful way. Like, hey, here's you an injury settlement. Appreciate everything you've done. That way you're not leaving empty-handed type thing is what it kind of feels like. Okay, so I like the running back room. And you're going to have to bolster that practice squad with 1 or 2 bodies because injuries are going to happen. There's no 2 ways about it. And Marshawn Lloyd might not be ready for week 1. The fact of the matter is he's not injured enough to go on IR for 4 weeks. That's pretty evident, right? So at the wide receiver room, this is exactly how I seen the wide receiver room shaking out. I like Grant DuBose, but like we pointed out on the postgame shows, the last 2 games, absolute booty cheeks. If you get him back to the practice squad, let him continue to work. Maybe next year is the year that he actually makes it. I love Bo Melton's tweet he put out. Yeah. This first year he's made the active roster. Pretty darn cool that all that paid off, right? Because this is his 3rd year in the league. 3rd try, finally got on an active roster. Pretty darn cool. So Christian Watson, obviously your burner. He's got size. The other thing that's really underrated with Christian Watson, if he is healthy, I think it's pretty much known across anyone that I've heard talk about Packers receivers. Christian Watson has the
block.
He can do that too. He has the highest FBI of all the wide receivers. Like Matt LaFleur talked about it in the presser in the offseason about how he understands all the choice routes. He can play every single wide receiver position. He can play X. He can play Z. He can play slot. He can play F. He can play all over the place.
It's almost like his dad played in the NFL or something.
Yeah, right. It's almost like he's got the pedigree, right? So you're able – what that allows you to do is you're not limited on where you can put that speed. You know, many teams want to put speed to 3, the number 3 receiver in a trips, a bunch, or a tray set. Well, when you put speed to 3, if there's any choices that are attached to that aspect of your offensive scheme, then you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. Well, Christian Watson, he's got the speed, he's got the size, he's got the FBI to be able to run those choice routes. It's absolutely huge. Romeo Doubs, he's going to be your boundary X again. I really believe that. I think he's that guy that you want playing in a phone booth. He's got strong hands. He's going to win those red zone one-on-one battles. That's going to be huge. Jaden Reed is your trick pony. That's that dude that you want running flyer. You want him running the jet sweeps, the pop passes, all those things. He can also play Z and play Z at a very high level. He's got speed. He's also got hands. He's just a smart football player. Dontavion Wicks, best route runner on the team. You can mix and match him in different places. There's no doubt about that. The only knock on Dontavion Wicks is he's not a deep threat. What do we see in preseason? Right off, all it took was one mismatch, throwing a tray set out there with the Y flex to the outside, and all of a sudden they got a safety looking at Dontavion Wicks, and you know Jordan Love looked out there and seen that safety and look at Tay like, hey, let's go home early tonight. Give me that go route, right? That Haas concept, off to the races. Bo Melton I think he's faster than Christian Watson 40 time, right? He's clocked faster. So you could put those two burners on opposite sides, and then Malik Heath, what can he do, Emilio?
Take him to the water cooler, man. Man was thirsty.
You dang right. So there you go, man. I'm really excited about the wide receiver room. The running, I love the way it's shaking out, man. I do. Tight end, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, Ben Sims. I've been real vocal. I think Tucker Kraft is your best tight end on this team. And you're going to use Luke Musgrave as that flex guy, being able to flex him out. He's going to play attached, but you're going to utilize him in those 12 personnels, give your receivers a breather. If you've got a team that your scouting report says, hey, we're going to run the ball heavy with them, all right, let's go 12 personnel heavy, and then you can flex Luke Musgrave out there. Next thing you know, you've got them trapped in a 34 or a 43 look, and you got a backer out wide on Luke Musgrave. That's when you can really play with the house's money. So offensive line, Rasheed Walker, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, Jordan Morgan, Zach Tom, if everyone is healthy, that's going to be your starting offensive line from left to right. Your backup interior guys probably going to be Sean Ryan. He'll be your backup guard, right guard, left guard, and center. Jacob Monk might have something to say about that. That's absolutely awesome. Andre Dillard is going to be your backup left tackle. Kadeem Telford's going to be your backup right tackle. I don't think they trust Andre Dillard to play on the right side to be the true swing tackle, me personally. And then Travis Glover seems to show a lot of upside. So offensively, I'm fired up, man. I'm absolutely fired up. Jacob, you got some chats marked right now. You want to go ahead and hammer those out, and then we'll jump into defense?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I did not.
Yeah, there you go.
I did not highlight this one, so I'm not exactly sure what
I did. That was Prince was saying notable Packer players cut today.
Let's hit it. Yeah, I think it's a cool topic. Let's hit on it real quick.
Okay. So Prince is going on to say that Adrian Amos, quarterback Tim Boyle, my boy Ty Summers, Shamar Jean Charles, Lou Nichols, Josiah DeQuara, sorry, buddy, Equinemius St. Brown, Rudy Ford, Mr. Oren Burks, Justin Hollins, Robert Tanyan, Jonathan Garvin. Hey, he decided to kick off the old dust and go to practice for once. And then Jake Hansen and Chris Barnes.
Wow. You know, that list looks like that's a whole list of training camp darlings and people that really liked a lot. And, oh, how the turntables have turned.
Oh, how the turntables. And then Deadfish says, I'm thinking we're going to try to get Luke Tenuta, Donovan Jennings, and Lecitus Smith on the practice squad. I was actually kind of impressed with the way Lecitus Smith played this last game. I saw a little bit of spark from him. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, that, and if Luke Tenuta clears waivers, I'm excited about having him because I felt like he played pretty decent those last couple preseason games, if I remember correctly. I don't have the grades up in front of me here at the moment, but I think I agree with Deadfish there, man. That'd probably be a good trio to have added to the practice squad for sure. So anything you guys want to hit on as far as those comments, Tim, Emilio? And listen, if anybody's got to hop off, just go. Don't even say bye. Just get the hell out of here. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm just looking at it again. I just think it's crazy. Like, we had a starting safety there. We had a backup quarterback, corners that we liked, a 7th-round pick. Josiah DeGuara played. EQ played. Rudy Ford played. Tanyan was the starting tight end. There are a bunch of players out there, so I think that, us getting worried about those guys is, such a slim chance to get snagged, but also there's a lot of talent that we've worked on prior to this that is out there and available if we need it.
Yeah, definitely. Tim, you got anything, bro?
No, Emilio hit it on the head. That's my thoughts exactly, for sure.
All right, good deal. Let's move on to defense here. So defensive, well, first of all, let me do this. Last year's 53, I love to cross compare these, okay? So we kept 2 quarterbacks. Last year we kept 2 quarterbacks, right? Now it's going to be hard to switch back and forth. Here we go. Let me do this. All right. Running backs, we kept 3 this year. Last year we kept 3, right? We kept 6 last year. Wide receivers, this year we kept 6. This year we kept 3 tight ends. Last year we kept 3 tight ends. The only difference on offense this year to last year we kept 11 offensive linemen. This year we only kept 10, right, on the initial 53. I believe that's correct. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, that's correct. So you made up a roster spot. You freed up a spot by carrying 1 less offensive lineman this year than you did last year. I just think it's kind of cool to check those as we go year after year. So on the defensive line specifically, let's start with edge or defensive end in this new 4-3. Obviously, Nichols, majority of the time, you're going to be in a 4-2-5. Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Kingsley Enagbare, Lucas Van Ness, Brenton Cox Jr., and Jacob. Aaron Mosby made it too, my man. How exciting is that, dude?
Aaron Mosby. I've been waiting, sitting on this stat here for the last hour for us to mention Aaron Mosby's name because if anybody wants to throw any shade at Mr. Mosby, I will let you know that PFF Green Bay Packers tweeted this out just about an hour ago. I didn't realize the guy played this well, but in the preseason 2024, Aaron Mosby's preseason was an 86.0 PFF grade, 81.9 pass rush grade, 1 sack, 4 pressures, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble.
US Cellular has noticed the way we use our phones has gotten ironic. We try to put our phones down for dinner, but the menu's on a QR code. That's ironic. We hit like on social posts that we don't actually like, which is ironic. Which is why US Cellular created Us Mode, to help us reconnect with each other and use our phones less ironically. A phone company wanting people to use their phones less is ironic. Let's find us again with Us Mode from US Cellular. Visit uscellular.com/built-for-us to get started.
Talk about a guy that absolutely played his butt off to make it almost undeniable. Like, you cannot not sign me to this team. Aaron Mosby wearing that sweet number 53. I think that it was one of those where I didn't expect to add a roster spot to that D end room, but once it's all said and done and the dust is settled, I'm cool with it.
Like it. We got over 450 people watching live right now. You guys and gals are absolutely awesome. Hit that like button for us. Feel free to sub to the channel. We appreciate y'all hanging out here. Defensive end, Tim, what do you think about this group right here, man? Pretty cool seeing both Brenton Cox Jr. and Aaron Mosby on the roster.
Yes, that's awesome. And I think it's rounded out really nice, right? You feel great about – I mean, we don't need to say anything about Rashawn, Preston Smith. We know what we're getting. But JJ Enagbare, Brenton Cox Jr., Aaron Mosby, those guys are going to be fun to watch out there with, the guys like LVN and Rashawn. So it's going to be a good look. We're definitely strong up front. I think stronger than we were even last year, even though we've got a couple of the usual suspects back. But Aaron Mosby was kind of that outlier during camp, and it's going to be exciting to see him get some snaps this year for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Emilio.
All about that line change, all about that rotation. I think that we needed to have that. I think that Hafley, is excited to have that extra drive there. If we can get pressure with Ford, that is going to be a game changer all season. So let them stay fresh. And let them just go to work. It's so crazy to think we got LVN as at least, the first backup to go in or whatever, but he's a first round pick and we're still able to hold this defense strong. And then we have, guys like Brenton Cox and Aaron Mosby making it as well. Awesome to see. And I'm happy with the D-line, the DN group so far. Definitely.
Watt 009 says, we loaded up on edge this season, tells you everything about how we looking to be aggressive up front, that we made sure to have cover. It's a good point. When you carry 6 defensive ends like this, I wonder if they might have a little NASCAR package ready to roll, something like that. Throw 3, maybe 4 of these defensive ends out there at one time to get after the quarterback. Maybe give you hog mollies a breather on a long 3rd and 12 or something. Could be the case, right? If that's what you're referring to there, White. But appreciate you swinging through, bub. Defensive tackle. All right. We ended up keeping 5 defensive tackles. And let me just check these in real time as we go to make it a little bit easier. As far as defensive ends, last year we kept 6 outside linebackers, which would have been our edge defenders in the 34 jam. This year we're in the 43 front and the nickel 4-2-5. We kept the same amount. That's 6. All right. Last year we kept 6 defensive linemen. This year, which would have been our interior defensive linemen, the 285 pluses. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, only 5 this year. So we made a roster spot up there, right? So we got Kenny Clark, TJ Slayton, Devontae White, Carl Brooks, and Colby Wood. Obviously, Jonathan Ford is going on IR, but he is expected to return at some point. It's not season-ending IR. So what you've got to do, Jonathan Ford was kind of that backup 1 tech. If for some reason TJ Slayton goes down and you need an extra 1 tech in your 43 base, you were probably going to turn to Jonathan Ford to do that. But now that Jonathan Ford isn't available, what you probably have to do is ask Kenny to do that in your 4-3 base if TJ Slayton's banged up, therefore putting Devontae White at that 3 tech or Carl Brooks at that 3 tech. And what I mean by that is typically in the 4-3 front that Robert Saleh / Jeff Hafley like to run. They like to play a little over, a little under. And what it basically means is one side of the line, you're going to have a defensive lineman playing 1 tech, which is essentially between the guard and the center, nose, and the other side, they're going to be playing in a 3 tech, which is in between the guard and the tackle. Ideally, in a 4-3 base, you want TJ Slayton in the 1 tech, Kenny Clark in the 3-tech. That's what we're referring to there. So Kenny might have to play some one if they get a little banged up early on if TJ Slaton, isn't available for whatever reason. But defensive tackle, we'll go around the horn. We'll start with you, Emilio. What are you thinking here, bro?
It's good. I'm happy about TJ Slaton making the team, made a name for himself. And even though we switched to the 4-3, he's still relevant and needed on this team. And like we said, I know we talked about NASCAR package before. Imagine we can throw Carl Brooks out there or Devontae Wyatt, with being the speedy 3-techs that they are, and move those guys around. I think that we have an elite front 4 to 7, depending on who we're rotating in there. And I think it'll be cool to see how he uses them.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys would take a quick second, hit that like button for us, help boost the algae. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, Coach Len kind of highlighted something here. I think he says getting back Jonathan Ford is big in more ways than one. I agree with that completely. I was a big fan of his when we got him signed, and I think that, again, he's just one of those guys that had such a good camp. It was hard to deny him. He was just too good to let completely go, to write off, that kind of thing. And he's a big man. He is a big, big man. And I like that a lot. I'm a little surprised at, a few of the other guys. What was his name? Wagee. I didn't honestly think he was going to make the team, but it seemed like that they liked him a little bit here and there. But I just think the group, I don't remember a group, a rotation that I've been more excited about at D-line. It seems like that years prior, you had your Kenny and maybe 3 or 4 other guys. And after that, you just kind of didn't know what to expect after that. I just feel like you put the bottom of our lineup wouldn't be what Wooden and Brooks. I'd be pumped if we were starting a game with those two at interior. I'd be like, all right, cool, let's go. I'm happy. I want to see what they can do. We talked about the progression of Slaton, dude. I am more happy for him than maybe any other player on this team, because everybody said that he was not going to be anything, and look what he's done. He's fought and clawed his way to be an almost starter, I dare say. So, and I hope the big man eats. Oh yeah, I want. Chris says I like big men a lot. That's true. I do. Yeah. That wasn't the sound drop I needed.
Best drop of the week, Tim. I know it was you, wasn't it?
No, I can't claim responsibility for that one.
Was it Emilio?
Emilio.
Get that crappy
ahead, Tim,
smile. Should have known it was.
Jacob, you done wasted your time, buddy. You want to talk about big men? Go ahead, Tim. What do you
got? Breakout year for Devontae Wyatt incoming. I'm just going to go ahead and say that now. I think we're going to see it. He's stepped up a lot. We can say a lot of good things about TJ Slaton, like Jacob said. Really worked his way to force himself into this lineup and refused to kind of get left by the wayside in the transition here with going to the 43. So I think we're stout up front, and it's awesome to see the team that they've put together. Carl Brooks, we all know that guy's a menace. And Colby Wooden has really turned out, to really proving to be a pretty decent pro. So it's going to be fun to see this D-line group.
Yeah, definitely. Jacob, read that one for me, sir.
He says, Ford doesn't skip his succulent Chinese meals.
You heard it from a fan
right here.
Demography
manifest. Sir, keep your hand off my penis.
You've got the voice down. Down complete.
That's just the tip.
What is my crime?
This show sucks so bad.
Sit your butt outside.
I will, actually. I'm out. Oh, my God. All right. Moving – well, first of all, defensive tackle. We kind of talked about the deployment there and how you may or may not use them. One of the things we got to get it back on the rails. One of the things we talked about earlier in the offseason was in this 4-3 look, what I really liked was the fact that Devontae Wyatt and Carl Brooks could play some defensive end if you needed them to. Well, we carried 6 defensive ends. That's obviously not in the cards for the Packers. Now they're looking at it like, okay, these guys are going to – the guys that we got for edge are going to play edge. There was a comment here, too, that I wanted to hit on. You actually had it marked. Let me find it here. Here we go. Jam in the chat. Appreciate you, buddy. He says, I think the Packers are nervous regarding J.J. Enagbari's knee. That ACL can go at any time. Thus, both Mosby and Cox on the roster. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? That, I personally don't think there's anything to worry about there based off of what JJ Enagbare has said, based off what the team doctors have said. And this is inside information from beat writers that have talked about it pretty extensively. But it is nice knowing that you got Mosby and Brenton Cox Jr. back there to help with that. So I thought that was a great comment there.
Clayton, do you think because I highlighted that one and initially I thought I don't know if I agree with that comment, but then it might be even more to the fact that they don't think JJ's trusting his knee enough. Because you remember there was a couple articles that came out. They were like, dude, you're good. Trust us. You can run on this knee. And he's like, oh, and honestly, I've torn LCL before. I think, Emilio, you've had a major knee injury, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's weird. Yeah, dude. I don't know about you, but I felt it was like kind of learning to walk all over again and then learning to cut and really dip, dive, duck, dodge, and dodge. It's hard.
Dude, honestly, right now, it feels like I have a bubble in my knee. It feels like I've had it for like 3 days for some reason. I don't know why, but I think that I know we talked about that. What I was happy with when I did see the tape was he did get cut like 3 times while he was rushing, popped right back up, no problem. I think that it maybe helps him mentally that he didn't have surgery. That he's just strengthened it around it. Because sometimes you feel like, oh man, it's come from my kneecap now. My kneecap is my ACL. Like, how's that supposed to work? Taking the patella, but I think that he mentally should be able to get back from it just a little bit easier. I think he just needs to get over those first couple hits, get those jitters out, and then just you got to play full tilt, man. If you're going to get hurt, you got to make it 100%.
Definitely. And thought this was a cool comment from Dead Fish. Gary and LVN can play D tackle on 3rd and long situations as well. Yep. I was initially thinking some of these D tackles could play defensive end, but great point, Dead Fish. Some of these defensive ends are kind of made to play that 3 tech, especially if you go to kind of that wide front. Remember the wide look we talked about, Emilio? Mm-hmm. We're not talking about the waitress at B-Dubs. We're talking about the wide front, the defensive front. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So when they come out and line up in that double 3 or maybe even a double 4 tech where you're trying to basically put the center on an island blocking no one, you could put LVN in there and do that, right? Yeah, here we go. Thank you for that. I guess that was Tim that put that up. Thank you, sir. So when they go to that wide front, typically like we talked about, they'll be in a 1 tech and a 3 tech. And you see the numbers here, what we're talking about. 1 tech being in between the center and the guard, the 3 tech being in between the guard and the tackle. One of the things that Hafley likes to do from time to time is play kind of a split front where he'll go to a double 3. So imagine those defensive tackles at a double 3 and then the edges at a 9 or even at a 7, right? In some cases, they will put those defensive tackles in a 4-eye look in that wide front. So just something to keep an eye on there. That's something that LVN and Gary could do absolutely, man. Gary's going to be a menace coming out of a 3-point stance. There's no 2 ways about it. So, all right, there you go with that. Moving right along, linebacker. Last year, we carried 5 inside linebackers. Okay, this year we are carrying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 once again. You got Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, Eric Wilson, Edgerrin Cooper, and Tyron Hopper. Obviously, Christian Welch was the big story of the day. Kind of surprised he didn't make the roster. Hopefully we get him back on the practice squad so we can elevate him from time to time because we know just like running backs, linebackers are going to get banged up all year long. Quay's going to be your Mike. He's going to wear the green dot. All signs point to that. Isaiah McDuffie, I think, will be the starter alongside Quay Walker in your nickel 4-2-5. When they go to a 4-3 base, Eric Wilson will be the other linebacker starting off, although Tyron Hopper really showed what he could do in the run fit in preseason. Kind of impressed me. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Edgerrin Cooper, I'm hoping he's kind of like Marshawn Lloyd. He may come out of nowhere, Tim, and be ready week 1. That would be awesome.
Yeah, we haven't really seen much of Edgerrin Cooper. That's a great point. I can tell you that every time I did see Edgerrin Cooper at camp, he was attached at the hip with Quay Walker. So certainly, lack of reps and lack of field time is going to hurt you, but taking that extra step to basically be a shadow to guys that are leading this linebacker room is a good sign for a rookie. Sometimes it takes a while to get acclimated to the NFL, and you want to see a young guy that's engaged and wants to learn. So I'm about Edgerrin Cooper. I think he'll progress nicely once he gets his opportunities. And you're right about Tyron Hopper too. We might have another hidden gem here in this linebacker room. So I feel good about Quay and and Eric Wilson. But, the two coming behind them is pretty nice. So, I know linebacker was one of those rooms that we were a little bit concerned about with depth. But honestly, looking at these five, I feel pretty good going into the season. We'll see. We'll see what a few NFL games do to the linebacker room, though. Like you said, guys, they get rolled up, they get stepped on, things happen in the middle of that field a lot. So hopefully this depth will pay off in the long run.
Yeah, I had Tyron Hopper as my 17th linebacker in the draft, but he was the only linebacker that was in magenta, which meant obviously he was a Senior Bowl participant and he was a top 30 visit. So, Emilio, how you feeling about the linebacker room, bro?
Really liked Hopper coming out once we tore up the tape a little bit. He flew around. I think that we were trying to keep an eye on Rakestraw for Tim, and we just saw him flashing around, doing the same thing. But it's going to be big for special teams this year, right? They're going to be playing a lot. We have Eric Wilson, who's been, the lock special teamer. But Quay and Isaiah, it's just crazy to think, looking at it from last year, like McDuffie's going to be your starting backer. If we ended the season last year, where would we be thinking that is? I'm totally fine with it now, right? I mean, maybe last year we were questioning it a little bit, but dude has showed up, and we have two young guys ready to go, and that have explosive movements, the way they play. So I'm kind of excited to see how those linebackers play.
Definitely. AFM in the chat said, I really like Hopper when he doesn't have to think. And you see that on those run plays. It's just run and play, attack, right? Point of attack. Now, he seemed like he struggled a little bit in pass coverage based off what I've seen, but maybe they can get that cleaned up. Ron Sample says, Tyron Hopper is really fun to watch. Not perfect, but wide open. One speed, no doubt about it, man. Jacob, how you feeling about the linebacker crew before we move on to cornerback? And I can't wait to hit that safety comment you marked, too. That's pretty gold there from Prince. But,
Cooper and Hopper Jam has a comment right here. Cooper and Hopper, very excited to see them, amazing athletes. I think it's pretty cool to think that the linebacker room is maybe one of the only ones that didn't get a complete revamping as far as the starters are concerned. We've got Wilson, we've got McDuffie, and we've got Quay, guys that have been there now for, I think Wilson's been here 2 years. Otherwise, the other guys have been here a little bit longer. McDuffie is a guy that I've just thought he's just put in his time. I think he's shown every single time he gets a chance that he deserves to be on the field. It's the same thing with Wilson. And if you add in two guys like Hopper and Cooper that are just, we mentioned how everybody scratched their head when they took the two draft picks that now are looking like absolute diamonds in the rough, Evan Williams and Tyron Hopper. We both kind of said, or a lot of us said, why did we do that? Where do these guys fit into our defense kind of thing? Well, we're seeing where they fit. They fit real darn well. I personally think that Hopper is going to evolve into a starting linebacker for us, and I'm really excited about Cooper's possibility. Every time I've ever watched the kid in an interview, he lights up. You can tell that he loves playing football. It's almost to the point where it's like I almost want to tell him, like, dude, put a little edge on you. Like, you look so happy all the time that, like, people are going to think you're soft, bro. Like, you got to get a little more aggressive. He lights up. He's ear to ear smile. And he's got all the athleticism in the world. And I think that once he gets enough time on the field, we might see guys like Wilson and McDuffie have to give up that starting role, which is bittersweet, but we got a great rotation there.
Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. All right, moving on to cornerback. Last year, we carried 4 corners last year. This year, we carried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Ballantyne, and Corey Ballantyne. So Jair Alexander, obviously on the outside, Eric Stokes opposite him. Keyshawn Nixon will start in the slot as it sits right now. Carrington Ballantyne will be a boundary corner, obviously backing up Eric Stokes and Jair Alexander. And Corey Ballantyne, it seems, will be the backup slot unless they truly see Javon Bullard as the backup slot. So you are 3 deep with a slot corner, albeit you don't ever want to have to get to the third, obviously. But, Tim, this cornerback room shaping up really, really nice. That's how I see them being deployed. What do you think about it? Obviously, a couple guys got let loose that we were fans of too, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel good about this lineup here. Val and Bal rounding it out. We saw those guys last year. played some good football for us. I think there's a reason they're on this team. Keyshawn in the slot, hey, like you said, he's the nickel, deal with it. And, it's his job to lose. And until he loses that job, then, we got to get behind K9 in the slot for sure. And, hopefully this is the year that he shuts his critics up. I would love to see him have an unbelievable year in the slot. And, while we're on that subject, Eric Stokes Jr., I don't think there's anyone hungrier than him for a comeback year. They didn't exercise the option on him. He's got a lot to prove. He's, basically playing for his career this year. So keep your eye on Eric Stokes Jr. Opposite of Jair Alexander there in the cornerback room. But I think these five are good. I really do.
Yeah, go ahead, Emilio. You got something you want to share?
Yeah, what you meowing about, Emilio?
Nothing.
Hit on those corners for me real quick, man. We'll get ready to wrap this thing up.
Man, I'm happy for Corey. Honestly, we didn't really talk about him a lot, but the dude played for us all last year, and I kind of think looking back on it, we kind of slid him over to the side once we got a new shiny toy, Kalen King, and I'm kind of happy that he stuck it out and showed the coaches that he was there to stay.
He had the best passer rating when targeted.
I know,
even better than Jair.
I remember when you broke those down, and it was like and you were like, well, what would you say if I were to tell you that it was Corey Valentine? Valentine. So happy for the dude that he's there, man. And like you said, John and Stokes, I hope they take off. I hope Key can hold it together and Valentine be ready to step in moment's notice or dime package.
Yeah. Jacob, you got anything to add to the cornerback room, sir?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, again, bittersweet. I love Corey Valentine. I almost think the Packers probably he's like the oldest person we have on the team now. He's like 28 or whatever, 27. There's probably a contemplation whether or not we should just cut him so we can remain the youngest team. That's a joke. I like that he finished up and rounded off the end of the roster, like Tim said. As much as I like King and what I saw in flashes, what I did see was him be a liability a few times, and I saw him play a little bit wild. He reminds me, obviously different position, of a type of like a Brenton Cox type, where it's like really raw talent. You see glimpses at what he can do, but he doesn't have the consistency to be a dedicated part of this team that's in the starting rotation. So I think what they're going to try to do, hopefully come around on the back end and get him back on the practice squad. I mean, again, guys, this is a guy that was at one point a first-round draft pick, CB1 in the draft. Something happened along the way where he fell to where he fell, and I think that might be another one of those diamond in the rough type situations. But all things being said, man, I'm super pumped about this rotation that we have. I think Stokes, we've all kind of glossed over the fact that Stokes has seemingly made a really amazing comeback. And I want to see it happen in real live time game situations. But remember, there was a point even 6 months ago where we didn't know if Stokes was ever going to play another snap for this team. Yep. And he's now to the point where I think that I'm comfortable calling him a CB2 on this team.
Yeah, I agree. All right, safety room. Xavier McKinney, Javon Bullard, Evan Williams, Katano Ladapo, and Zane Anderson. The big surprise there for me was Zane Anderson. I would much rather have just rolled with 4 safeties and kept Christian Welch. But maybe there's a reason they thought Zane Anderson wouldn't clear waivers and Christian Welch will. Obviously, they know more about football than I ever will. There's no doubt about that. As far as the 53 last year, we carried 5 safeties. This year, we are carrying 5 safeties, so that's definitely the sweet spot there. Emilio, I'll give you first dibs on this one, big dog. Safety room here. Xavier McKinney, Javon Bullard are going to be your starters. Obviously, Evan Williams will be your backup strong safety. We thought Anthony Johnson Jr. was going to be your backup free safety. Maybe they see Evan Williams as the backup free safety as well, right? No matter who goes out, they want Evan Williams in the lineup. That might have played a role in it too.
Right, and that means that Home Depot showed out in practice enough to make a stand, right, and to say, hey, we're going to keep him. I think looking at that, what is that? Our first 6 rounds, we kept everyone then from our draft. So it's awesome to see. We have a lot of young talent there. At least we have, a foundation with X. But dude, I hope that that they take off this year, and maybe we get a rookie of the year candidate out of that safety group.
Yeah. Jake Shavink with the zinger of the night said, "We're definitely burying the lead here, fellas. Colson Yankoff made the Commanders' 53-man roster." So.
Who?
Exactly. Jacob, what do you think about the safety room, man?
I'm definitely confused. I think it was a little insane, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, we're gonna give him some.
He not only rambled, but he rumbled and stumbled.
Yeah. If I'm on board with you, the only thing that scratches my head a bit is I really doubt that there were 31 other front offices being like, "Give me Zane Anderson." So there's like a part of me where I'm just wondering, why did we do that? We could have definitely probably easily got that guy onto the team. That's my biggest head scratcher, I think, probably of this whole 53-man roster here is just like, why? If you would have put the water pistol to the old dome, I would try to get a lot of different players before Zane Anderson. That's just my opinion there. And I'm not going to, I'm not trying to be negative whatsoever, but that was the biggest gripe I had with this 53-man roster for sure, was just seeing that one. But, I'm just a guy,
I missed the guy. Tim, safety room, big dog. Anything?
Yeah, Zane Anderson is here to play special teams. We know that. That's his spot. And so is KT. I mean, KT Oladapo is going to be a special teamer. That's his path to getting in the lineup is, playing fundamentally sound in special teams, no silly penalties, that kind of thing, getting your NFL legs underneath you. I do think he could be, really helpful in that safety room on the defensive side of the ball. But for now, for the foreseeable future, he's a special teamer. So those two guys for sure. But that rotation that we got there, McKinney, Bullard, and Williams makes me feel really, really good. I mean, I know Rudy Ford is your guy, Clayton, but these names make me feel better than Darnell Savage.
Me too, man.
Rudy
Me
Ford.
too.
Oh, man.
We're going to get to see we're going to get to see some exciting football defensively, particularly focused on the secondary. Coach Half's got the DB room, firing on all cylinders, and the safety room is no exception, man. These guys look good, solid on the back end, and not worried about guys hitting us over the top. I think these guys are going to get it done back there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's wrap this thing up here. Special teams, obviously, Greg Joseph is the kicker as of right now. Daniel Whelan, the punter. Daniel Whelan, one of the unsung heroes on this team, and love that dude. Matt Orzik, we thought there might be a chance that they don't carry a long snapper for a day or two. They chose to put Matt Orzik on the 53, so there is your specialist moving into the season. Again, some of the quick little notes to go along with it as we wrap up. Injured reserve, season-ending injury reserve. Running back A.J. Dillon neck is out for the year, and Tyler Davis with the shoulder out for the year. Designated to return from the IR is defensive lineman Jonathan Ford. Like someone pointed out in the chat earlier, there's actually one more spot open that they can do that. And then they waived with an injury designation linebacker Raylan Goforth and L.J. Davis are the ones that got waived in that regard. Now, also wanted to hit this real quick, and we are out. As we get ready to go into tomorrow, obviously, do we know the waiver time, guys? Anybody have any idea when the waiver – everybody has cleared waivers and you can announce your practice squad? Any idea? Right
off 11 a.m. Central. Don't quote me on that. Maybe someone can double check.
Okay. Well, here's some of the rules. Just a quick refresher, okay? 16 players practice squads. All right, practice squads were limited to 10 players in 2019, but that was set to change with the new CBA signed in 2020. The number was going to 12 players for 2 years, then going to be increased to 14 in 2022. Basically, it's up to 16 players now. You got an international pathway player program where you can, it says teams participating in the international player pathway program can have 91-man rosters during the offseason. They can also have a 17th practice squad member for the season, but if signed to the practice squad, they can't be signed to the regular season roster. If the player is on the 53-man roster, they are eligible for waiver rules. I think that's what we're going to do with Alex Hale when it's all said and done, probably the path they're going to take there. That's what's been talked about here lately. Practice squad players moving up to the main roster. Like last season, teams now have more flexibility with using practice squad players on game day. Practice squad players can be activated on game day before the team announces they're inactive, 90 minutes before game time. The player doesn't have to be elevated from the practice squad to the main roster for the move. This can happen with up to 2 practice squad players per week. A player is now able to be elevated 3 times per season. To be activated a 4th time requires the player to be signed to the regular roster. This makes it easier for teams to have players they know and trust on game day and also not have to subject them to waivers when they are signed to the main roster and cut to get back on the practice squad. As far as veteran players, another change is the eligibility requirements for veteran players. Previously, teams could have up to 4 players who had 2 years of NFL experience. Now teams can have 6 veterans with no limit on the amount of accrued seasons they have in the league. So essentially what you've got a 10-man practice squad that have to have 2 years, less than 2 years experience. They qualify for that 10-man practice squad. You can have 6 more unlimited. Doesn't matter how long. They can be 73 years old, all right? And you can have them on the practice squad. Doesn't matter. Weekly payment for all you goons out there going, I wonder what these cats make. Practice squad players make $12,500 per week or $225,000 for 18 weeks. Veteran players with over 2 years of experience will make a minimum of $16,800 per week or $302,400 for 18 weeks and a maximum of $21,300 per week or $383,400 for 18 weeks. Sign them with the practice squad. Last thing we'll hit on here. Teams must complete their roster cuts by Tuesday, August 27th at 4 p.m., meaning the almost 1,200 players will be released or placed on the injury list. And here we go right here, Tim. You had it, sir. Starting at 12 p.m. Eastern time on August 28th tomorrow, so that's 11 a.m. Lambeau time, teams can begin signing players to their practice squad. So there you go. Anything else you boys want to hit on? We get out of here.
Yes. Steve made a great point right here. This is the first time in 19 years that this ends the streak of Packers drafted place kickers during. No, that's not what I was thinking it was. It goes, this ends the streak of the Packers drafted place kickers dating back to Chris Jackie. I saw a different stat that said this is the first time in 19 years the Packers haven't started the season with a UDFA on the team.
It was a rookie UDFA because I'm pretty sure Aaron Mosby was a UDFA. He's just not a rookie, right?
I don't know, Emilio.
You heard it from a fan right here.
I thought that's what the Spofford article was saying, or
that's maybe what I read. Yeah, it was
the first time a rookie UDFA didn't make it, but there were, I believe, 2 UDFAs that did make it.
Yes. Josh Vallantingham just gifted 5 Packer Fan Total Access memberships. Thank you so much, Josh. We really appreciate you, buddy. And again, thank you Indiana for the super chat. Fred McFarley for the super chat. Appreciate y'all supporting the show. Tim, you got anything, brother?
No, can't wait for 11 a.m. Central tomorrow. Find out the rest. See who's going to be on the taxi squad, as I still so lovingly call it.
Mountain Man Pack says, love the longer episodes. I'm going to try to do this on a consistent basis where we go at least an hour 20. We'll break it into 2 pods, make it a little more convenient on everyone. I'm excited about it. Again, eventually we want to get this channel to where we're going live just about every hour. We'll get organized with it. It's growing to that level. Really, really exciting stuff. Emilio, I know we kept you way longer. You're probably ready to prepare dinner. You going to get God's chicken tonight or no?
No, that's a Friday tradition. Okay. No, I actually smoked some of those shotgun shells, or I had my buddy smoking the other day.
You did?
So, yeah, I'll send you a picture.
Bro, they're so good, man. I made them last year on the smoker.
They were fire.
Unbelievable.
They were fire.
All right, that's it. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. This was a lot of fun. Tim, help me out here, sir.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your day. We will be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, to talk about the practice squad. And it's football from here on out, ladies and gentlemen. We made it. So, as always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Don't be like Jacob, okay? And go back.